bring in Hadley Heath-Manning, Policy Director at the Independent Women's Forum. What we're really talking about, Hadley, and good to see you, by the way, we're talking about the H-1B visas here that allow people to come into the country and stay for several years. And the president is saying, I said I was going to bring jobs home. So this is certainly one way to do that, not give those visas and bring the jobs back here to people who need them.
Right, and what an interesting time. Certainly any policy decision that we're making today isn't made in a vacuum, but we look at it in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we're seeing a lot of reduced travel, reduced immigration throughout the entire world. We're also seeing very reduced levels of employment here in the United States. So I think the first prerogative of the president, of course, is getting as many Americans back to work as possible. And how this fits into a broader, more long-term immigration strategy, I think, is a separate question.
And it impacts the technology industry because there are a lot of recipients within that group of these visas. Do you think that we have the skill level and the qualified, worker base here to fill these positions?
That's an interesting question, because typically in the United States we import labor. That is to say, we have immigrants who are either at the very high end of skills or at the very low end of skills. In fact, the U.S. labor force is more like a bell curve, where most native-born Americans have some medium level of education, whether that's a high school degree or a college degree. We do import a lot of people on the two extremes, whether it's low education or high education, but we certainly could work towards a place in the United States where we have those higher levels of skill. That's really a question of education reform. But of course, the millions of people who come to the United States with high levels of skills contribute a lot to our economy.
Sure. Hadley, there's also this issue of the city of Pittsburgh joining 15 other cities, launching this guaranteed income pilot program using money donated by Twitter founder Jack Dorsey to see if a universal basic income program would work. I wanted to see your thoughts on this. Nobody even wanted to kind of test anything like this out. Andrew Yang was a big proponent of it. But now we've got the pandemic and a lot of problems, and Dorsey is stepping up with the money here. So do you see this, as sort of a pilot in a way, if it's successful, that it potentially could become something more?
This really gets to the heart of the debate about our government safety nets. And of course, this is private money. All of the resources ultimately that funnel through government programs do come from the private sector via taxation. But in this case, it's private dollars via private action, the contribution from Jack Dorsey. But we will see how this experiment plays out in universal basic income. I think it's a flawed experiment in a couple of ways, because of course we're doing it in the midst of a pandemic where the needs of people across the income spectrum are different. How we consume, how we spend money is going to look very different. And of course, this isn't an experiment in replacing existing social safety net programs with a UBI or an additional cash payment, but it's a layering on of that cash payment. So we'll see what kind of results researchers get when they look back at this experiment going on in several different cities. I'm very curious to learn myself if this could be scaled up, but ultimately my hope would be that we could make some reforms to the safety net programs that exist today.
Hadley, I wonder if you think the timing on this is interesting, because you've got, Jack Dorsey has been in the headlines, and the president uses Twitter a lot, and there's been a lot of talk about censorship and changing the rules and whatnot. And then you've got Dorsey doing something like this during the pandemic at a time when, by the way, the unemployment benefits just expired, and Congress hasn't been able to propose anything else for the time being.
Yeah, I think the plan ultimately coming from the private sector is going to be a reminder that we rely on the private sector in so many different ways. With a small-scale experiment like this, the first city to experiment with a universal basic income was Stockton, California. We've already begun to see some of the results, although it was a very small initial group of people who received these cash payments. I think Americans across the board are really looking for innovative solutions during a time that's really unprecedented. We're in uncharted territory with this pandemic and the restrictions, the sort of public health concerns between people and their work. So this could be one potential innovative solution. I'd like to see more private action, more charitable organizations maybe partnering with the government or acting separately to try to pave a way forward for us through this difficult time.
Hadley, thank you. It surely is an unprecedented time, David, and it's dragged on a lot longer than many people expected.